Welcome back, everybody, to Dan Has Fun with me, Daniel, doing more Europa Universalis 4. We're Bologna. Some Baloney is happening. And we'll try not to ham it up too much. We're just going to relax and play some games, have some fun. This episode, we're probably going to attack Mantua. Even if we end up with a very small coalition, we're just going to bite the bullet. Yeah, we're tech level 8. We don't have to rush. We are going to get our innovativeness gain. Doesn't mean we get tolerance of the true faith +1, so we just have a bit less unrest across the board, at least for now. So that's fine. And then the innovativeness gain it's not massive, but I'm not going to complain about it. It's not a bad thing. Makes everything a bit cheaper. Anyway, we are definitely, this time around, going to go after Mantua. It does mean we're going to be bringing in the Papal States. They do have a significantly sized navy. At this point, we don't need to deal with their navy, so we're just not. We're just going to ignore them. But we are definitely going to take advantage of the fact that they're being attacked right now by rebels, which is nice. So we're just going to take advantage. We're going to bring in Bohemia and Austria. We probably don't need Bohemia if we have Austria, but if I end up with them both being in the war together, they can't declare war on one another. And they don't like each other, they're rivals. So if I just invite Austria in, if Austria, takes a bit of damage off the get-go, Bohemia could declare war on them, and I don't want that to happen, because then I'm stuck breaking at least one alliance, if not both. So we're going to avoid that way. We don't need to bring Milan in on this, so I'm just not going to bother. So let's get that ready to go. And we're just going to waltz in. We're going to turn the speed down to 3. Our navy's going to run away. I waited until it was in a place where it'd be safe without me having to press anything. Interesting that they chose to hide in Trieste and not our own province, but okay then. We're just going to waltz into this province, and you'll notice that we're just sitting here. So we're going to wait for whoever wins the fight between Mantua and their own noble rebels, and then we'll just kill whoever's left. It's very nice of them. We don't need to have Austria attached to us, but they might anyway just for this fight. Do we even know who's going to win yet? Somebody win this fight, please. There we go. So, the rebels were defeated by Mantua, but they only had about 1,800 troops left, so it's a stat wipe, and we're just going to sit and siege that out. We don't have any siege pips, which is unfortunate, but we do have less land attrition, so we're not going to lose as much in terms of men as before. We're down to 0.8% attrition. I'd like it if it was 0, but that's not the world we live in right now. And we're not going to spread out too much because the Papal States do have a 13,000 stack. So we would like to not get smashed by that. We're the same military tech level as them. Austria is actually a lower tech level than both of us, which isn't great. But as we said last episode, military tech level 8 actually isn't that important. So just sheer numbers from Austria alone should carve Switzerland apart like Christmas turkey. And I'm kind of hoping they go for Switzerland first so we can piece them out. We don't have to worry about them, and then we'll just go attack the Papal States. Switzerland has a lot of mountainous land, right? So sieging them out can be both expensive in terms of men and tricky, because when you're sieging out a Swiss mountain fort and the AI comes to defend their province, they are the defenders, so you get a -2 penalty to attack in that scenario, and that is not fun. -2 penalty sucks, and if you manage to have a river crossing in there as well, it could be a -3, and yeah, you never want to attack with a -3 penalty. Even if you have a 2-to-1 unit advantage, it can be tricky to overcome a -3. Because it means every time you roll, even if you roll 9, you're still only doing, 2/3 of the best roll. Yeah, I'm going to take the admin points. Like I said, I don't really mind sacrificing a bit of prestige because it's going to bounce back so efficiently. And when we're winning the war and we piece these nations out, we're going to get prestige from that as well. that is perfectly okay. The Papal States are just sitting there, I guess, because they're scared of my troop stack. They don't want to move forwards. I'm okay with that. I'm also curious if we should move our navy out, because Austria at least has moved it here. I guess there's no harm moving our galleys there. So we'll just let them do that. I can probably turn the speed up to 4 as well. Yes, Switzerland, all three out of 4 of its forts, they don't have access to Valais. But the other 3, the Austrian AI and Bohemian AI between them are dealing with. Austria's got 2, Bohemia's got the other one. The Bohemian siege will probably finish first. There's 10,000 Swiss troops. Where are they going? Probably to Vienne, I would say. But Austria's got 26,000 troops over there, so who cares? I don't want to attack the Papal States in Ancona, because we have about the same number of troops, and I would get the penalty. So I am going to move to Urbino and see if they will come and attack me. There's no fort here, so if they move, they're the attacker, even if it's their land. And it looks like there's no sign that they are going to do that. Perugia has a fort, that's annoying. Okay, so I'm going to click allow attach. I'm going to wait for an Austrian or a Bohemian army to come over here. And then we'll go attack the Papal States. They still aren't moving. We would probably win this fight, but we would take so much damage doing so that it's not worth doing. Okay, here's some Austrian troops. And Bohemia's brought way more troops than we need as well. Oh, they stopped sieging Switzerland. That's not quite what I had in mind. Oh, that's stupid. I can't actually get to them because of Perugia's fort. Okay. So I guess we're just going to keep that stack with us for now, and then once we siege out Perugia, then we'll have them go back and siege out Switzerland. That's so stupid. I didn't think they would de-siege everything and come over. Oh, Bohemia went over and is going to siege the other papal province. That's nice of them, because it's a pain to get over there. Why did Austria leave 6,000 troops over here on a level 3 siege? Dumb. That's very dumb. And all that's happening right now is we're getting attritioned more because there are more units on this tile. So the attrition is now up to 2%. Guess we'll turn the speed up though, because there's nothing else we're going to do. Our peace treaty with Castile has just ended, so we want to keep an eye on that as well. We don't really want to be in a dangerous war when we can get declared on by them. Luckily, this shouldn't be too dangerous. They de-siege Bern. What is the AI doing over here? Thank you. Thank you, Bohemia, for doing the thing that Austria should have done. Oh, dear. Yeah, why do they keep just randomly de-sieging it? Like, I don't even see a stack of Swiss troops. There's 1,000. That's it. We have too many liberties, apparently. A few members of our parliament are of the opinion that we've been taking far too many liberties lately when it comes to governing our nation. We can say that they are just exaggerating. If we do that, we gain a republican tradition and get 2 prestige. Or we can take appropriate measures. We gain 2 unrest, so our province becomes a bit less stable. But we lose a republican tradition. This is such a tiny amount in terms of numbers. It really is inconsequential. I'm going to gain the 1 republican tradition just because, well, we only had 61. And it's getting a little bit marginal. But wow, those numbers were tiny. What's being DC? Oh, Avignon over here. Switzerland's got 3,000 troops. Well, you need at least 6 to de-siege that, so that doesn't matter either. Perugia, I think that was just, yep, it was a wall breach, so we're up to 14% next tick of getting that siege to complete, which is fantastic. Would like for this to finish as quickly as it can. There's a stack of Swiss troops, but Austria's just going to bop it. Go on, get it bopped. There we go, it was bopped. Stat wipe. Catholic zealots in Provence. Doesn't matter to us. We still somehow haven't won this siege at Perugia. We're up to pretty much a coin toss at this point, and that's the event we were looking for. We're going to stop for a second. This was not the event we were looking for on the right. Burgundy is going to be the papal controller. Were they not the papal controller before? Pretty sure they were. Doesn't matter. This event is the important one. So we're 1498. Protestant Reformation. So, Goslar, which is a one province minor, at least at the start of the game. Nope, it still is now. They have Protestantism. And the Protestant mechanic is now available. Goslar also gets something called Religious Seal. So they are, at least for now, completely incapable of being converted back. So, they're Protestant. We can't do anything with this information right now because we're at war. You can't convert religion when you're at war. We want this war to finish even more quickly now because if you're one of the first 3 nations that flips religion, you get what is called, if we go to the religion screen, a Center of Reformation, which means that it will start spreading that religion in areas around it. We want one of those because our game plan is obviously to convert, but we want to try and get as many Austrian provinces to convert as well. We want Austria to not be Catholic because that will then break them definitely up, making sure that they never ally Castile or France. France occasionally will flip religion, but it's pretty rare. Castile will almost never flip religion. It's just too far away from, you know, the Germanic area to really ever do it. Sometimes you'll see Poland convert, which is very, very interesting in terms of what impact that has on the world, because it'll end up with pretty much a different religion on all sides. But yeah, we want to try and convert as soon as we can. So we need this war to finish yesterday. It does mean that we probably won't siege Roma out, and we'll just try and piece the Papal States out as quickly as we can, at least for now. Pretty sure that's the same Golden Bull as last time as well, so no change there. Croatian separatists in Hungary. Hungary has way more troops than it needs to deal with that, so this should be something they resolve. Okay, Perugia is sieged. Let's get our diplomat back from Aragon. I'm not even going to attack them right now. Come on. There we go. Will you peace out? Oh, no, you won't. Wow. Okay, well, I guess we're going to have to attack the Papal States. That's incredibly inconvenient. Turn the speed back down. Switzerland definitely won't peace out yet because none of their forts have actually been completed in their siege yet. I wonder if, yeah, the Papal States, all they're doing is they're moving their units away in such a place where they can't get attacked because we can't reach them. That's disappointing. And Austria doesn't have a siege leader here either. I'm actually going to roll once. Or I could just take, actually, I'm just going to take this leader that I have. They are terrible in combat, but this will speed the siege up. It would also be nice. Where did Austria put its navy? Because it would be nice to get over here and get the +2, well, actually the avoidance of the -2 on the siege. But we're not going to do it yet, I guess. I want to see where they're going to move. Are they going to try and de-siege any of their territory? Nope. Okay, that's fine. We're going to wait a bit longer just to get at least some money out of Switzerland, I think. But we're definitely going to keep this diplomat free for now, because we want to start piecing people out rapid fire when the opportunity arises. We have a defective merchant. We're just going to take the mercantilism. Long term, that will be better. More trade power equals more money. That's what matters. I'm actually surprised, given Austria has moved their navy away, that the papacy hasn't come over to deal with my stack of 10 with their stack of 20. But yeah, they've never moved their navy, not a single time. Why did Austria de-siege again? Thanks, Bohemia. You're the only part of this that seems to have any brains whatsoever. Yeah, the Papal States just seems to be on purely defensive mode and nothing else. It's interesting. We have a war-weary population. Do we ignore them? Or do we say, you know, soldiers are just peasants in uniform and lose a bit of army and naval tradition? I'm just going to ignore them. It does mean we're going to have high war exhaustion. It's up to 5.35. That just means an extra 5.35 unrest, practically speaking. But it's not a huge deal. Will Switzerland peace out now and give me stuff? Yes, very comprehensively. So I definitely want war reparations. I want all the money that they'll offer. We won't get a huge percentage of it, but that's fine. Do they have an annoying alliance with anybody? They only have military access with France, which, who cares? No, they don't have any particularly great allies. I don't really care about having them give land to anybody. And I can't take any of those because I can't call them. And Austria does not want Waldstadt. Okay, then that is fine with me. I'm just going to take that. Take some money, take some war reparations, which is just money over time. So we're good there. We're up to 78% war score. The Papal States will now peace out. They'll actually give me some money too. I can't afford to humiliate them. They'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get away with one more, I think. Yeah, they'll give us a little bit of money. I'm fine with that. The fact that we're not demanding a huge amount of war score out of them also means that, well, we don't have to wait as long to declare on them. We only have to wait until 1505. It's only a 7-year truce. Put it in context, Venice is a year shorter, and we've been at peace with them for what, like nearly 10 years. So, we can finally get Mantua. Take all the money they have, which is not a lot. What do we look like from a coalition perspective? Venice, Genoa, and Florence, and they would all only just get to the 50 threshold. Venice can't join a coalition right now because they have a peace treaty with me, so that is fine. Thank you very much. Alright, Mantua, 112. We'll take it. They already have 90% autonomy, so we're just going to knock it all the way up to 100 and take 10 unrest off the table. That's perfectly okay. Let's move our stack back. We have another crappy level 2 fort on a farmland, which I'm just going to keep for now because I want my army tradition to go up. Early game, when there's not a lot of differential between the nations in terms of their traditions or their tech level, having really good leaders is really going to be the differentiating factor. So it would be nice to get our army tradition up. We are going to flip our other leader back, though, our other general, just so we don't forget. Alright, so that is another province eaten. Which state are they in? The Po Valley. Oh, that's convenient. So when we take these two provinces off Venice, we'll already have the other piece. And the high value piece, too. Okay, that's nice. That's a good province to get. No qualms with that at all. Let's move our galleys back, because we don't need them to just sit there anymore. We do have... We're just going to wait till we get 2,000 gold. We might as well knock that mission off while we're at it. So we'll definitely do that. Religion. So before I hit any buttons, has anybody else gone for a center of reformation? No. Okay. That's fine. So we're going to. We're going to pull the trigger and switch religion. So, Protestantism does have some different traits. You get 10% more tax modifier, which early games are actually pretty helpful. 15% improved relations. I like this a lot. But to do this change, we actually lose 100 prestige. A couple of our decisions disappear because they're not relevant to us anymore. We do gain a buttload of money, so we'll actually go to over 2,000 gold immediately. And we get religious zeal of ourselves, so for 10 years after this change, we can convert provinces very, very quickly. Super helpful, especially because we've not picked religious ideas, and I don't really intend to. So we're going to flip over. We've now turned to Protestant. We may frustrate our allies. They're not going to like it because all of them, even Bohemia now is Catholic. They wouldn't have liked it even if they'd stuck as Hussite, but it's good to know. So we can do strong Treasury Department. The yearly inflation reduction honestly doesn't really matter. We're just getting it set up so that when we start building manufactories, we can get this proto-industrialization benefit, which is pretty big. And then we'll be dealing with Imperial Conquest, where you need 1,000 development. We have 181, so we're not even 20% of the way there. So we'll get that done. We have new decisions to make, but we should also talk a bit more about Protestant. So they have church power as opposed to papal influence. Once you get to 100 church power, you can pick an aspect of faith which will customize kind of how your nation works. There's a few different options. Obviously, early on, missionary strength can be pretty helpful. Discipline is always good, morale's always good. Cheaper development cost is really helpful, as is yearly Republican tradition, although it's only 0.1, so it's not a massive difference. Cheaper ideas is also pretty nice. There's a lot of good options in here. And unlike, you know, the Catholic religion, where you pretty much just have to wait for years and then grind, and then you just get to pick one bonus that lasts for a certain length of time. This, as long as you have enough church power, you can customize this as much as you want. So if everything's starting to hit the fan, you can certainly, you know, reduce your unrest, for example, or get more manpower recovery speed. But then, let's say, you know, you need to be in a massive war, you can start putting on all the war benefits. It's very, very good. Reformed also has a version with religious fervor, but I don't think it's quite as I don't like it as much. It doesn't fit quite as well as what I like to do. So we might as well start converting. The maximum amount of time it's going to take for any province is 10, but we're going to start at the very top and go down. I wish there was a way to automate doing this, but I don't believe there is, at least not right now. And we do have some new decisions to make. So we can pass the Dissolution of the Monasteries Act, because we have a rule of at least admin level, you know, skill 4. It's not a no-brainer to pick. It does make it more expensive to, you know, boost your stability. But in this scenario, this is a great option, because as you have seen, when we re-elect, we're not taking a stability hit. So the stability cost modifier is not coming up. So it's just more money. So we're going to do that. We still can't form Italy. Hopefully that time will come. Even if we had all the land, we couldn't do it right now because you need to be admin tech level 10. But that's definitely the first step towards what we want to do. What we'll end up doing after we form Italy, if we even form Italy, I don't know. I'm not sure. It'll depend on what's happening in the world. Actually, speaking of the world, this is what I feared. So, the Mamluks are getting wrecked by the Ottomans. This is very, very common, but it's not what I want to see. Because they'll end up taking probably enough land down to about here in the first war. And the second war, they'll take pretty much all of Egypt. And then there'll probably be a third war where they take everything else. Once they do that, the Ottomans will be untouchable for a very long period of time. They've absorbed Crimea. And they have the Great Horde next to them, who, Muscovy, you better take as much of that as they can now, because otherwise the Ottomans will. Yeah, this could get pretty spicy pretty quickly. Muscovy is only slightly winning that war. They must be against a few other... yeah, they're against a load of nomad tribes. That's why. Nomad tribes, when they're on the steppes, hurt a lot. So we'll keep an eye on that. See how things progress. Hopefully they don't progress too quickly. Yeah, due to changes in your country, pastors will no longer have the privileged papal emissary, because, well, we're not sending them to the papacy. Speaking of which, are they all above 50%? Well, I say all. We now have 2 factions because of the parliamentarians. And remember, we don't have nobles anymore. We are going to seize land. Now we have enough of a bonus where we have 10% bonus to our tax modifier. And we get something called absolutism, but not yet. The absolutism era is not going to be for a while. So this benefit isn't really relevant to us, at least not yet. That will come into play later. Do we want to change any of the privileges while we're at it? Is there anything in here that's particularly tempting? Religious diplomats No, that's not the way to go right now. If we want to go for religious culture, we do lose some land. But it does increase our missionary strength, so that's interesting. No, not yet. It's tempting, but no. The expansionist zealotry is interesting, though, because you get plus 5% morale when you're at war with somebody that's not the same religion as you. But if you're at peace for 15 years without having attacked any of them, you get a morale penalty. The nice thing about it, though, is you can only have one of them active at the same time. So let's say you wait 20 years, you've not been at war, you get the minus 5%. As soon as you attack another nation that is a different religion to you, it gets flipped to plus 5. So it can actually be pretty good. It doesn't change the pastor's impression of you, though, so I'm not going to do it yet. I might do it later, I might not, I'm not really sure. This is pretty good too. You just get more missionary strength, but we're still not going to do it. We don't need to. We're not going to need clerical ministers. We're just not going to need the bonus to church power. We're going to end up with way more than we need. The clerical advisory council's pretty good. It makes our admin advisor cheaper, and the stability cost modifiers we've spoken about doesn't really matter. But it's not a massive change, but our equilibrium is sub 50, so I'm probably going to pick one. Yeah, I'm going to pick that. We want to make sure that equilibrium stays above 50 so we can keep seizing more and more land off them without them being upset. And then for our trading folk, their equilibrium is already above 50, which is fantastic. It does mean we can actually pick an option that upsets them for 5% if we want to. Not that there's many options for that. There's Land of Commerce. That gives you more Diplo points every month by 1. But you have to give them a bunch of land. They don't like you for it, and it reduces your maximum amount of absolutism, which, again, not relevant now, but it will be later. They have a version of the admin, but for them, it's Diplo Advisor being cheaper. No, none of that's particularly of interest to me. I don't think we need any of it. Really, the only one that could be an option would be private trade fleets. Actually, no, we'll take that, It's going to make us more money. Okay. So, good. We don't have to worry about that for a while. We are sound there. We can now spend some of this money because we do not have to stockpile it anymore. We still don't have great choices for manufacturers, but I'm still tempted possibly to put a couple down. We'll get a bit more naval force limit. And Treviso has paper, so we'll get production down. So we're still not going to spend a lot of money. We're still going to keep a hold of it for now. Mainly because we don't actually have enough provinces to spend any money that's worth getting any trade out. We're not actually getting a huge amount out of anything we can spend money on right now. I mean, we could become defender of the Protestant faith, which would be hilarious because it's only tier 1 right now. It's only Goslar and I. If you do that, it makes your missionaries slightly cheaper. That's about it. Although, having said that, it is an interesting option to pick straight away because you would only have to defend Goslar. And Goslar isn't really surrounded by any particularly big nation. It's got Brunswick, Saxony, and Magdeburg as neighbours. And Thuringia. Thuringia is actually independent of Saxony now. That's interesting. But none of them are very scary. Having said that, it's very easy to get dragged into a war. Even their allies aren't that interesting. You know what? I'm going to become defender of the faith just so I can get an extra missionary. Because I want to start getting our religion fully integrated in our society. Losing 5 prestige, it's fine. Because when you have really, really low religious unity, the vast majority of the population is the wrong religion, for lack of a better term, there's some pretty nasty consequences for that, including increased corruption, which costs money to deal with. But really, the one that I'm worried about is the fact that our church power accumulation will be temporarily very, very slow. And we don't want that. We want to get some church power. And I guess because our diplomat's just sitting there twiddling his thumbs, we still might as well get some value out of him. Why not go to Florence and at least get some claims? Social mobility. Boers are starting to get pretty dangerous for their level of influence. If they get too high for influence, they can start trying to take over, which we don't want. So I am going to actually eat some admin power so that does not happen. They're not going to like us for it, but they can deal. We do have the opportunity to get one more bonus with our Splendor. It's not going to last very long because this first age of the game, the Age of Discovery, is going to end in about, what, 9 years-ish. And once that age ends, the bonuses we have here will disappear. So we'll no longer have adaptive combat terrain, which is sad. Or justified wars, which will be very sad. It makes going for a war before that age ends pretty tempting. None of these really matter to us. We're just going to get the war costs for war taxes to go to free. So if we do end up at war, we can get a bit more money by saving on our military expenditure. It is also tempting to start a Golden Age, but I tend to like waiting until at least the Second Era to do that, because we're not really under a huge threat of anybody right now. Honestly, Castile is our biggest threat. And they tend to prioritize, at least this stage of the game, they tend to prioritize either starting to get into the Netherlands or they colonize. It's one or the other. So I'm not that worried about them. I guess what we can do with all this money, though, is, yeah, we have an army force limit of 27. And yeah, we don't have a huge amount of manpower, but I believe we should actually deal with that. Horses aren't great value, but I'm going to get one extra stack of them. And we are going to sit and drill. Poland, I will definitely royal marry you. We can certainly do that. Alright, beautiful. So, we're going to have a nice, big, strong army. We're not going to have a lot of manpower, so we definitely want that to, recuperate as best we can. Are we still at our naval force limit? Yes, we are, so we still just wait. We could, if we want to save some money, we can mothball these, because we're not going to need them for, well, at least a few years. Really, our next priority is going to be dealing with Venice. And we don't have a claim here, although we certainly could. We could fabricate one. We have a claim on Brescia until 1508, which is long enough. We have a claim on Venezia. They haven't built any more ships, which is fantastic. Can we get shipyards anywhere else? We can, but we'll put one in Ferrara. I don't like using up the last building slot for what I don't think is a hugely high value building, but it's fine for now. It's fine. Savoy have insulted us, just a regular old insult. It's actually very, very funny when either you do a scornful insult or the AI does it to you. The options are absolutely hilarious. There are definitely some Monty Python relevant pieces in there. They have a good sense of humor in this game. Okay, so Modena has been converted to Protestant due to the center of Reformation in Bologna. So we didn't have to convert that province, so we didn't have to spend our time or money doing it, because that center did it for us. Ideally, I would like them to start trying to convert. Well, south is okay, but really I want them up here. I don't know how the game decides which province it's going to pick its center of Reformation to convert. There is clearly a proximity component to it, but I don't know what else. Munich apparently is a province that has turned Protestant, but they have not converted to Protestantism. We do not need any help. We're not in times of need. I still don't see that a third nation has taken the option for Reformation. England is in a golden era. Good for them. We need to get Lucca in there. Lucca's quite an expensive province to convert, but it should be pretty quick nonetheless. The other reason why I want to get those buildings done is you cannot build a building and convert your population in the same province at the same time. Not really sure why, but you can't. I understand why you can't core a province and convert its religion at the same time, because I imagine it's the same staff doing that. But I always did find it a little bit weird that you can't build like a shipyard and convert at the same time. You're trying to tell me that the missionaries are the ones that are building the shipyard? I'm not buying it. Doesn't make sense. Although I would certainly laugh seeing, you know, like a bunch of nuns with hammers and chainsaws trying to build it. I'd enjoy that. That's a fun mental image. Our half-price statesman died. Boo! We don't have another half-price advisor, so we're just going to take this +1 improved relations guy for now. We do also now have the ability to select a naval doctrine. So our naval force limit got to 20. And as a result, we actually get to pick our naval doctrine. So there are 4 options. Nobody picks fleet in being, honestly. Yeah, it makes your navy cheaper, but that's it. It doesn't make the navy better in any way, it just makes it cheaper. Only time you would ever pick that is if you're a nation that's pretty much going to be landlocked forever, but you have maybe a province or two that are just developed enough to keep it that way, but your main trade node is inland. Even then, I still wouldn't do this. You can have 3 oarsmen, which just makes the galleys better, which normally I don't pick, but for this nation that actually might be quite good. We can have a merchant navy that just makes your ship trade power stronger. That's always a good pick. Or we can have shipboarding, so your chance to capture an enemy ship goes up. This is a fun option. I don't know how strong it is, but it's a fun option. It makes you kind of feel like we're being pirates. We're probably going to go for 3 oarsmen because we're a nation where our main water location is going to be the Mediterranean. If you're, say, on the west coast of Europe, if you're on a coastline, galleys are still more effective, but they're not quite as good as they are in an inland sea. So we're going to concentrate on boosting our galleys up as much as possible. You can always change your doctrine down the line. It's not like once you pick it, it's set in stone forever. But we probably won't need to change it anytime soon. If we end up, eating most of the Mediterranean landmass, we might change it to trade power, but we don't need to worry about that right now. That would be awesome, but I don't know if that's going to happen. For all I know, we'll end up, attacking Venice and either losing or building a coalition against us so big that it kills us, which would be funny. But we'll see. We can invest in Diplotech level 9, but we're not going to do it yet. Because that penalty is nasty. And we have the birth of colonialism. That will definitely not have founded where we are. So, the discovery of the New World, which we haven't really seen, but I'm sure other colonial nations have a big map of it at this point. Yes, heralded a new era not only for the colonizers and the colonized, it has also led to the spread of materials and techniques, as well as a realization of the vastness of the globe. As animals, crop types, silver, and diseases spread across the Atlantic, the first steps have been taken towards a truly global economy. With foreign lands and people being mapped and documented, ideas as well as religious and philosophical debate are increasingly being coloured by what we have found in overseas societies. Great minds feel the need to question what was once truth, and from Cadiz to a place I cannot pronounce, be like Fatipur Sikri, the nature of the world is now open for debate. Realistically, the implication of that, if we go into institutions, it means it was founded in Cadiz, that's why I read it, which is going to be down here. Which, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Quite often, colonialism will found in the British Isles. Having it spawn down here, at least for me personally, doesn't actually feel like it's all that common. Trying to get colonialism to spread, however, is a pain in the backside, because you may have noticed that only the bordering provinces is going to start getting any spread. Let's go over to one of our provinces, just as an example. Let's go to Lucca, where realistically you'd think it would be more likely to be seen. It's on a coast, it's in a sea that's being shared by Cadiz. Doesn't matter. Because unless you have a nearby friendly province with it, or you happen to, be a capital of a country with a New World colonial nation, which we do not have, or put a neighboring province with colonialism, you just don't get it. So this tech for level 9 techs is going to pretty much guaranteed have the 15% penalty on it, because we are not going to see that anytime soon. Oh, we need to have a new debate in Parliament. What do we want for the next 10 years? Or we can just get 20 loyalty for the bureaus if they want us to hate us less, but who cares? Then again, none of these options are that good, are they? Slightly cheaper forts, slightly cheaper advisors, slightly cheaper light ships, which we'll probably won't be building in the next 10 years, or just a bit less unrest. All of these options kind of suck. So I guess we will just go for the 20 loyalty, just so we can... No, I can never justify doing it. I want to, but no. Cheaper advisors it is. And that actually succeeded by default. I didn't have to bribe anybody. That's awesome. I guess at this point then, now that we've seen colonialism, and we are very, very close for the Age of Discovery being ended, I'm going to drop the video for now. We're going to cut it off here. The Ottomans are at war with Albania for the 3rd time, which means Venice is at war with the Ottomans again. Might soften them up nicely for us by the time we end up having to deal with them. Maybe the Ottomans will smash some ships. That would be awesome. Anyway, speaking of smashing, that like button, you want to smash it? I'd appreciate it. And yeah, leave any comments if you like, good or bad, as long as it's constructive. I will certainly oblige. I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care now.
Thank you for watching the video.